Good morning. Welcome to Philosophy. I'm your host, Jennifer Fallaw-Doering, and today I'm just going to be talking about some stuff. I don't really have any new intel. Seems like we're just still waiting on the same thing. Um, I don't have any new information, but I'm going to continue on with last time on Philosophy. We talked about psychic protection because we're coming up on a holiday. Okay. Um, but it's really more about where we're moving as into the future, where we're moving as truthers. It's our graduate course on waking up. Okay, learning how to control our emotions, learning how to control not letting the dark side control our life through our mind. Through our emotions, through our thoughts, through our mind, and in turn controlling our actions and the way we create our reality. Um, Hang on a second. Kid's sick. Let me just respond to this. Okay. Um, Today we're going to kind of talk about forgiveness. Now, this is something when people say, "Oh God," they immediately pull back from that. Like, why should I forgive these people who have wronged me? Sometimes in little ways, sometimes in very big ways, sometimes for a little piece of time, and sometimes for a very long time. Um, Forgiveness really isn't for them. Never has been. And when Jesus came a long time ago, he had a hard time convincing people that they were loved and worthy of God. Okay. So we have things like, and it really was John the Baptist, but we have things like uh, baptism. If you don't feel worthy to come to the Father, then come through me. Turn the other cheek. Um, Shake the dust from your boots. All these things that he taught in simple ways, forgiveness, to help people stop being controlled by the negative thought processes, by the emotions, and in turn, by the dark side. He was trying to wake people up. And throughout history, we'll have shifts. You see where things are really good and people are doing really good, and it seems like the light is winning, is the majority. Well, and then over time, the dark side corrupts the minds of people and tries to make everybody really miserable. And I've seen that. I've seen trends in that coming over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years that I've been paying attention. And forgiveness has never been for the other person, it's for you. It's so that you can live a life without the burdens, without the control over you and where you're going in the future from someone in the past. Um, and I'm gonna teach you a little something else today to do called cord cutting. Um, that is very useful, very beneficial to you. Something you never even realized. I'll write that down so I remember to do it. I'm gonna tell you a little story. And this is how I teach. It is what it is. It's very simple. I take very complicated things, make them very simple so they're easily absorbed. And that's why I talk the way I do, and that's the way I write the way I do. It's not that I'm not intelligent, Never said I was smart, but I do have my moments. So I want you to picture a child. And when the child becomes old enough to start having a mind of their own, maybe 7, something like that, 5, 7, they're given a backpack. Here's your backpack for your life. Keep everything in it that's important. And so what do? Child goes along, somebody hurts their feelings. And I want you to picture all the negative things that happen to you from other people. The comments, the actions, everything. I want you to picture that person, instead of saying or doing those things, they hand the little kid a rock. Okay? And she puts the rock in her backpack. And another person comes along and does something nice and compliments the child and hands her a rose. She puts that in the backpack. So this is like a backpack that never gets full, okay? And over time, the child goes and on with their life and grows and through all different kinds of situations. And this backpack fills up with roses and rocks. But we tend to accept too many rocks. Some big, some small, some pebbles. And over time, that backpack can become very heavy. And so on the child's path, maybe teenager, young adult now, Jesus walks up and says, those rocks seem pretty heavy. And they're crushing all your flowers. Why don't you give them to me? Why don't we clean that out? But let's keep the flowers. And let's seek people out who will give you more flowers, more roses. And so the child takes the backpack off, and Jesus takes out all the rocks and asks her, do you forgive these people for giving you these rocks, for creating this heavy load that you have carried for so long? And the kid says, no, that was hard. I'm still carrying that. And Jesus says, no, you're not, because I'm taking these from you. It's time to forgive them. But what they did to me was wrong. And what they did to me wasn't okay. And why should I let them off the hook? I should send these rocks back to them so they can carry them. And Jesus says, I'll take care of them. They have their own rocks to carry. I will take care of them. But I would like to see you standing tall and moving forward without this heavy burden. I want to see you shining and smelling like roses. Will you forgive them? And so she says, yes, I will. And over time, she may accept some more rocks. But she knows now who to call if that's a big rock. She knows now maybe I won't keep that rock this time. Maybe I'll start collecting more roses. That's what forgiveness is about. It's not Yes, if that person comes to you and says, "I'm carrying a very heavy boulder on my shoulders. Will you I need your forgiveness to let this go." Give it to them. Doesn't mean what they did was okay. Doesn't mean it didn't hurt you. Doesn't mean anything like that. All it means is that life is about moving forward. It's about carrying on. And if your burden becomes too heavy to do that, you're not going to go far. So, God, Jesus, God is experiencing everything through you as you right now. I would love to come on here and tell you my whole God theory. I really want to, but I'm afraid somebody's going to steal it, really. I do it in private. What would help you understand um, that there is no separation. That's what Jesus came to teach. He saw everybody worshiping cows and doing terrible things and all this stuff and being so miserable and corrupted and everything else. And God said, "Okay, I'm going to make a bigger piece of myself and I'm going to come down there and I'm going to teach you some things." And it was very hard. We don't even have the whole story. I wish we did. But it's important to know that we need to move forward smelling like roses. And we need to start giving out more roses and less rocks. Um, and it is absolutely possible for you to decide, I'm not going to carry this with me anymore. I've suffered enough. I've carried that burden long enough. I felt the weight of it. But I am a survivor. And I don't want to be sad or mad or beaten and battered and weighted down anymore. I want to move forward and shine and start smelling like roses. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to forgive each and every person that ever did anything bad to me, even if they're still present in my life. Because the truth of the matter is, most of them have no idea that you still have their rock in your backpack. Most of them have no idea that you're sitting at home going over all these emotions and everything else, and it's affecting your life, and you use it, and then you start naming the rocks. And you start wearing badges all over the front. This is rock number 1 and rock number 2, boulder number 3, and everything else. And these are all the reasons why I cannot be happy and I cannot be okay. Don't have to do that. Just give it to God. But you, as a piece of God, have your own free will. And if you decide, yes, I'm going to carry these rocks, if that kid or that person would say to Jesus, you know what? Nah, I like carrying these rocks. I like being miserable. I like crawling my way through life with this heavy burden on my shoulders because it gives me an excuse why I do not have to shine. And then he'll stand aside and let you do that because that is your free will. But if you find yourself saying, I don't want to be sad anymore, I don't want to be mad anymore, I don't want to be connected to this person in my mind anymore, I don't want any of it anymore, I'm going to move forward, then forgive them. Energetically, we talked about psychic protection in the last Fallawsophy show. If you missed that, go watch it. We talked about attachments. Okay? All over the place. Spiritual parasites. Basically demons. Okay? They cannot exist in this dimension without a host. And so they will use you as their host. Most people completely unaware of what's going on, and that they're even there. Okay. They will dwindle a host down and keep them down so they can stay attached to them. Because if that host vibration were to rise too high, cord of attachment that they've got hooked into that person will detach, not to find another host. So they have to keep talking to you in your mind. Remember when so and so left you and cheated on you with your best friend? Remember that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was sad. Remember this? Remember that? Oh, wait a minute. I saw you laughing there. I saw you getting happy. I saw you being at peace. Oh, let's think about debt. Let's think about worry. Let's think about bills. Let's think about all the things you haven't achieved. Let's think about all these negative things. And that's what uh spiritual attachment will do. It's nothing like the movies. It's very subtle. It's you suggestions like the shadow figure standing off a few feet away, throwing you that big red ball. Hey, you want to catch it? Hey, you want to play? Looks like you're doing really good. Let me dwindle you down because I'm starting to feel a little nervous because you're starting to shine here, and I'm going to have to detach. And that's a problem for me because I'm going to go have to find a new host. Okay? So the other thing that they do is, so they're pulling life force energy from you so that they can stay in this dimension and use you to do their bidding. That is why the dark side as a whole must keep humanity down at a certain level. We need a certain level of poverty. We need illness. We need death. We need sickness. We need war. We need all this stuff. We cannot have these people shining too high because all of our minions are going to detach and get sucked back into the dimension where they belong. Very simple way of explaining exactly what's been going on. And over time, if somebody's got an attachment and they dwindle that host down and they're not getting enough energy. So they want you at a certain spectrum, right? They want you depressed, but they don't want you dead. But if they feel like they're not getting enough from you, they'll start shooting cords out. Like, think of this big, fleshy, like fire hose cord with a hook on the end. It's really gross. Anyway, if you can see it, they'll shoot it out to the people around you. And you may have cords attached to you from years ago. Family members, from ex-husbands and wives, from the one that broke your heart, from that boss who fired you, from all this stuff, years and years, and it'll pop up. So one thing you can do, now you can do this with Jesus or you can do it with Archangel Michael. We always start out with God because we want to be connected to God, to the highest vibrational source. We want to involve him in everything. Okay? In everything. And all you got to do, very simple. God, I'd like to cut the cords of attachment. I wish to be free, so that my thoughts are my own. Okay. Then you call in Jesus. Now you're going to have to imagine all this. It's not imagination, but imagination is the doorway to creation, and that's why they don't want you to do it. So what you do is you stop. And usually when you're starting to think of something old, something that you've already dealt with, something you've already gone through, something you've moved past from, and all of a sudden, boom, there it is again. You're doing your hair in the bathroom in the morning and you're all pissed off, running scenarios in your head about, well, if they said this, I'd say that, and or just how you would have done it differently or whatever. You just stop and realize when that happens, like, why am I thinking about that? I don't need to think about that. The reason you want to cut these cords of attachments is because these people or these people's attachments that they're unaware of are still controlling your life. And we want to shine and be in control of our own emotions in our own life. And so you call in Jesus or you call in Archangel Michael and you say, I used to call Michael. Michael, cut the cords of attachment. I have to do this often because I have noticed that it'll pop up again. And the other thing that I've noticed, and from the people that I know, a lot of people in the spiritual community know about this, nothing new. But I don't think it's really been explained in this way. The people that wronged you, they're completely unaware that they've got this attachment. They're completely unaware that this attachment is giving them suggestions to act on, playing on their fears and their jealousy and their anger and their greed and all those bad things. So another thing that you can do to be free and to wake up, and in turn, as a piece of God, pull more of that divine light, love, light of creation into yourself and heal and shine. That's what I mean by shining. Being a vehicle for that light. We are right now. We receive a certain amount of it right now. We supplement with food and sleep and water and everything else to receive the energy that we need to function here. But do we really need to eat that much? I don't think so. I think that these negative emotions and negative thoughts and beliefs and programming and everything else puts just, it's like a shaded windows around you, not letting in the amount of light that you need to be that positive creator. And so we need to limit these things. We need to get rid of the shades that block God's light from coming into our body and into our lives. And that would be negative thought, doubt, big one, fear, and everything that comes after that. And some people might say, well, you're just going to walk around delusional. Everything's going to be okay all the time, and you're just going to create everything. I'm like, yeah, because I'm tired of the old way. I'm tired of believing, don't get your hopes up, and don't believe that everything's going to be okay, and don't believe that you can heal, and don't believe that you can do it for others, and don't believe that God's with you, and don't believe. I have had it with that. And so, yeah, I'm going to walk around like a delusional, crazy person, and I'm going to start creating my reality, and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to be well, and I'm going to shine. And if you don't like it, cut the cords of your attachments, because that's who's talking to me right now. So we need to wake up to these things. And I think it's very interesting that I'm seeing other people who normally talk about political things talking about it's time to wake up. It's time for that graduate course, isn't it? We were focused on everything around us, all the bad that everybody did around us. It's good to know that. We have to know that. We have to know that so that we know the difference. But right now, I need to work on ourselves and stop. Through free will, we are allowing the negative, the low vibrational, the dark side, to interfere with our well-being and our happiness. So we're going to cut those cords of attachment. We're going to keep doing it every time it rears its ugly head. And so I say, Archangel Michael, of course I can see him, I don't see him all the time, but when I tune in, I do. I realize when it's happening. When I'm thinking about something like that, I said, cut all the cords of attachment. Now, people will pause and say, well, I don't want to cut cords of attachment to my children. And blah, blah. That's not what we're talking about. Love is not a cord of attachment. That's a golden cord. That will always be there. But the cords of attachment we're talking about are from spiritual parasites who are controlling people that we have known or that we know, and they're completely unaware of, who have shot cords out to us. And so, simple as that, we're going to tell God, I would like to cut the cords of attachment. We need to make our will known. That's why we're going to tell God everything we want to do, everything we need. I would like to cut the cords of attachments. Archangel Michael, cut the cords of attachment. Sometimes I even put my arms out the side and said, I'm free and done with it. Get rid of it. The first time I did this, I was like, grounding, cutting cords, blah, blah, blah. I never really thought anything about it, but now I do. Because the first time I did it, and I can see things, I couldn't get to sleep. I had scenarios running in my head because there was a family gathering coming. And my stepfather and my mother, and we go to their house, and my sister and my brother-in-law, they are so condemning. They are always looking for something to talk to me, talk about me. I don't know why, or do I? So it's always just like, okay, what are they going to say now? How's this going to go now? What are they going to say to the kids? How am I going to clean that up later? Well, since we've stopped hanging out. But one night, I could not sleep. I could not stop thinking about running the scenarios in my head about what they're going to say, how they're going to insult us, how they're going to ruin the day, blah, 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 blah. And it was all coming back to like the stepfather, you know. I probably need like serious therapy, but you know what? I just move forward. If there's something I can't get through, I'll talk to somebody about that. So I was laying there and hours. I was just like, I cannot. I would fall asleep for a minute and then I'm dreaming about it. It's just like, I'm like, I can't get past this. No, I don't want to think about this anymore. No, I don't want to think about this anymore. And then for some reason, I just said, no, I am done with this. My life is my own. No one else owns my identity. I will not be controlled anymore. And I kind of sat up and I said, Michael, cut the cords of attachment. Just came out of my mouth. And I shit you not. Peripheral, I saw this giant silver sword come down and cut this big, fleshy looking alien kind of cord from me. And it snapped back and I went, am I losing it? No, that just happened. That just happened. I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea that this was attached to me all this time. It was big, really big. And the funny thing was, as soon as that thing snapped back, I didn't think about it anymore. I didn't have those thoughts. I wasn't running the scenarios in my head. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me try. Let me try and think about it. I can't. Oh my God. Yes. Freedom. Freedom. I said my prayers. I went to bed. Over time, I've had to do it again. The cord, but that big cord is gone. So, Michael, cut the cords of attachment. Now I do it, and I picture in my head. If you want to picture it this way, I actually see the sword come down. But if you can't see that, you can imagine the sword coming down. Sometimes, over the years now, I picture almost like I've got like a vest on with hooks on them, and they're like rubber bands. Okay, and if we always want to say Jesus or Archangel Michael cut the cords of attachment, but if you want to picture it this way, where you just if you start thinking about everybody and their problems and their opinions of you and how they don't like you or whatever, you just start snapping back rubber bands, unhooking the rubber bands. And you will see the difference in the freedom of thought that comes from that. A lot of what you believe about yourself is what other people said. And I don't know why we give the negative so much power over us. But it's time to stop. Because that's exactly what's happened to society and the programming. They tell you what's pretty. They tell you what's acceptable. They tell you who's smart and who's not, and who's worthy and who's good and who's bad. They encourage you to wallow in your feelings. And that encouragement has led to identity disorders that we are seeing in the public. The extreme of anything, and if left to fester, can turn into a terrible disease. So, what you guys need to do right now is to understand that it's you and God on a journey. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the God theory because I just really want to tell everybody, but I don't want somebody to steal it because there will be a book. There will be a book called The Seventh Element. And I think it's like my masterpiece over time. I don't know enough to write it yet, but I will. It is the light. It is the element of creation. It is the element that houses all others. There is nothing outside the body of God. God was all knowing and he was out there, okay? But in order to be all knowing, he was aware of something called experience. Didn't have that. So he had to separate himself. And he did. And all the pieces of himself must forget that they are him. So that's why they view you as a child. That's why the angels that watch over you love you so much, because they know exactly who you are. They know that you are a piece of God, having an experience as you right now. And the dark side knows it too. And that is the ultimate truth for the truther. Why this and why that and why this programming and why would they be so bad? Why would anybody want to do that? Well, because they have been, the spirits that control these people are so corrupted that they think that they can hurt God by hurting you. They know it. They can control God by controlling you through your own thoughts and your own decisions. They are interfering with your free will by constantly offering suggestions to make you feel separate, small, insignificant, unloved, alone. You were never alone. You never have been. You're a piece of God. I want you to think of God as the center of the bullseye, the unmoved mover, and all the rings around the bullseye are dimensions created to house separations of self. Every separation of self must exist at a different vibrational frequency, different vibrational spectrum. And they must have a playground in which to do so, and that is a dimension. And when you die, you will go to the place. This separation of self, this identity that you have, you can keep it forever. Once it's created, boom. But you are him as you right now. And that is the ultimate truth. And when we accept the ultimate truth, you don't need the rules. Why? Because you understand that every other piece is him too. What did Jesus say? What you do for them, you do for me. Why do you say that? Is he just that gracious? I mean, is he just that loving? Well, yes, he is. But he was trying to teach people in a simple way, just like I do, that we are all brothers and sisters. And people are like, yeah, brothers and sisters, brotherly love, whatever. They don't get it. Why? Because of the negative programming, because of the confusion. They have altered our religious texts. They have put confusion in every area of our life. Everywhere you seek for knowledge, they got there first. That's why you have to sit with the Bible. That's why you have to sit with it and you have to read it and you have to say, God, Jesus, help me know, help me see the truth here, because it has been manipulated. I asked about it. Archangel Michael said, the truth is in there. We would not allow it to be taken out. But it has been written and rewritten and altered by man to suit man's purposes. And what he's talking about are those who seek to control, and control is not divine. And why would they seek to control? Because those that are controlling the creators have chosen to turn away and have become so corrupted that they no longer remember that they were creators too. So they must use you to do so and to create an environment that they can exist in, a vibrational spectrum where they can exist at least with a host. So we have to stop allowing them to do that to us. I'm so depressed. I have so much anxiety. I'm so scared. I'm so this. What if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if that happens? What if we just decide, no, I'm not listening to that anymore. I'm going to go out there and create the happy life that I've been looking for, however abundant it is. Why did he tell us to be at peace amidst the chaos? How's that possible? It's chaos. I mean, I'm supposed to, doesn't society tell me right now I'm supposed to act on every emotion and wallow in it and just let it fester and everything else? Why would they be doing that? Why would they be doing that so much lately? Maybe in the last 5-6 years? Because they're being taken out one by one. Because the white hats have been taken out, they're rulers. The humans that were so controlled and had so much power. And now they're about to take their money. And people say, oh, okay, the awakening. All of a sudden, everybody's going to be high vibrational. And there'll be no sadness and no fear and no anything anymore. I'm like, well, you would have to be propelled to a higher vibrational spectrum dimension probably for that to happen, because there will always be free will. There will always be people who listen to the suggestions to be mad and sad and hateful and hurtful and all those things. But if people were to learn the truth and to understand that we are all brothers and sisters, and that we are all creators, and that we are being used, and to recognize when that's happening in your own mind, in your own reality, and in your own life, they'd have less and less hosts, wouldn't they? Their army would get smaller and smaller, and we would experience something closer to heaven on earth. So, keep up the blasting, push them away. The cleansing that I taught you the other day. Stay centered with God and cut the cords of attachment regularly. I want you to, this is how I live my life now. It's a process, okay? Something got to be consistent with. You don't get all weird and guru and, run in the street, tell everybody the good news. Just live your life. Stop being so miserable. You don't have to be. Okay? Every emotion and the depth of that emotion is a choice. Choose the higher vibrational ones. Yeah, something happens. It's sad. It hurts and stuff. We work that out. We feel that. We get through it. We give it the justice it's due. But then we get up off that damn floor and we say, I'm not staying here. and I'm going to move forward. So the way I live my life now, and the best way to picture it, is me and God on a journey. Something they call constant prayer. That doesn't mean you're sitting in the corner like a monk, chanting and doing all this stuff and wasting your life away when people need you. No. This means you got an ongoing, honest, open conversation with God going on in your mind when you think about it. Sit. Lighthearted. I'm just like that all day. Like, God, what do you think about this? Where did I put my keys? You know, um, it's the pause before you react. God, would help me figure this out. Help me know how to react in this situation. But think about it this way. Let's say your body is a car. And the windshield is your eyes. And the windows on the side are your ears. And you're sitting inside. That's your brain. You're the brain sitting in the driver's seat, controlling all the controls. Now, we don't really know exactly how this car works. We don't really know what's the best thing to put in it. We have no idea where we're going. Or even how to get there. But we're in this car and we're driving along, and everybody else is driving along, and we're like, I don't know, we're hitting potholes and we're dodging rocks, and people are falling off of cliffs and everything else. Turn over, roll down the window and look at the other guy in his car and say, where are you going? What are you doing? Do you know where you're going? Do you know how to do this? And he's like, I don't know, I'm following this guy. And they both drive off a cliff. And you get all upset, and you're sitting in your car, and you pull over to the side of the road, and you just don't know what to do anymore. And maybe I'll just stop here. You never had to do any of that. You never had to figure any of that out alone, because all you ever had to do is look over in the passenger seat, because God is sitting right there, and ask him, where do you want to go now? And he's like, well, hello. It's nice that you finally realized that I was here. Let's have a wonderful journey. And you drive on your way. He's been sitting in that car the whole time. He has felt every bump. He has seen everything through the windshield. And ever so often he helps you out. He throws a little water on the windshield, turns on the windshield wipers. All right, let's see clearly now. It's getting pretty dirty in here. Crack a window, give you some fresh air. Whisper in your ear, all that. But we've been ignoring him this entire time. Society has convinced us that he is someone far away that sounds like a fictional character. Have we heard that from anybody? I believe we've even heard Hunter Biden describe God that way. They have been so corrupted, and their controllers, their attachments, have corrupted them so that they completely believe what they're saying. And they have tried through their control to convince society that they are separate and they are small and that God is a fictional character, and that how could you even believe such a thing, that we all crawled out of some goo and suddenly had consciousness? Does that make sense to you? No. It's ridiculous. I remember, I don't know how old I was. I was little. Everybody was really tall. And I remember my mother and my father, college educated people at the time, probably late 70s or 80s, early 80s, talking about creation or evolution. And remember how I say sometimes you just know things, you don't know why you know, and you just do things and it surprises you? Well, I just walked in the room and I'm like, you're not looking back far enough. You're not looking big enough. It's both. It's both. And they're like, you're 5. Go to bed. It's like, okay, come on. Everything exists somewhere. If you think about the energy of things, we have vibrational playgrounds in which to experience as pieces of God to pair up with the infinite knowledge. So he can truly be all knowing. But once the thought of creation was born, that's why there is a beginning and there is no end, because there will always be another thought. We create our realities through thought. Thoughts leads to action, and that is why the dark side and society controls you through your perception and your thoughts, and will make you to believe whatever they want you to believe, and they'll mask it as something good. Oh, God loves you unconditionally, but if you get a divorce, we're going to throw you in a fire pit of hell. Sorry. It's like, well, what does unconditionally mean? Oh, never mind that. Just follow the rules and put your money in the basket. Oh, no, you're not. And then, hundreds of years ago, oh, no, you're not worthy enough to read the word. You must come to us so that we can tell you what it means. Right? And if you take a look back over society and history, and right now, it's everywhere. But good news is, the proof of God is in everything that you see, in everything that you feel, and everything that you experience. Not just here, but forevermore. And people say, well, prove to me that God exists. Remember the story about the stepfather at the end of the table with his. I think the reason I said wasn't that I couldn't prove to him that God exists at that time. I was 15. I really probably take a little bit of time. But it was the knowing that there's more evidence to support it than not. And I said, why don't you prove to me that he doesn't exist? And even with all the rules of religion and the different kinds of religion and everything, all the man-made stuff, if it were true, if it were really true that we would be thrown in a fiery pit of hell by breaking one of those rules, wouldn't we be following them to a T? Yeah. There's something inside you that knows that you are loved. There's something that inside you that knows your intentions. There's something inside you that knows that you're going home and there is more than this and that God is real and that we don't have to listen to this crap anymore. That's where we're going. And that's why you're seeing people, like Phil. Absolutely amazing live last night. I didn't get the end, but I got most of it. It was a Fibonacci sequence. That's so interesting. And you want to know something really freaky? It matches up with my God theory, and my God theory is a bullseye. And when I got the information a long time ago, I think you guys attended it. It was one of the shows I did. God, I have to ask Mike. He was there for it. We had like pictures and everything. The entire thing, the entire totality of existence is shaped on its side. It looks like a donut with infinity symbols repeated around in a circle. But if you go, I bet if we turn that thing over to on its side and we started at the middle, it would be the Fibonacci sequence, and it freaked me out so bad when I heard that yesterday. I was unaware of that. That's good stuff. Okay. How do you explain that? It's the sequence of growth, of life. And what am I teaching me? Me, little old mom over here, coming up with all these ideas, talking to angels, Jesus, and God, receiving information. It's basically all the same thing. And as I teach more and more in my simple way, as I go, I look back at something that Jesus taught. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The truth has always been the same. There is nothing outside the body of God. Anything that is evil within it or low vibrational has chosen to experience that. We are pieces of God choosing to have an experience, and we must forget who we are to do so. Now, how small and insignificant are you now? How glorious is that? That is why you are loved unconditionally. That is why God is with everybody all the time. That is why you can talk to Him inside your head and be heard. That is why we are all brothers and sisters. And we need to cut the cords of attachment. We start to blasting out the darkness, and we need to shine now, baby, shine. Because we're going to come into a time. We're going to need some people shining for a little while, okay? But then we're going to teach everybody else how to do it. And if you really want that new world, you really want to wake up, this is how you do it. All right? I got to get going. Got some things to do. I do not know if I will be here Monday. I have to make an appointment to get some things done around the house, and Monday looks like the only day I'm going to be able to do it. So I will keep you posted on Telegram. I'm not taking any questions today. I didn't get the first Phil show, but I'm absolutely so excited that he's talking about pretty much the same thing as me, but it's like the scientific way and the mathematic way, so it matches up and it supports what I've been saying. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really having a good time. Go watch it. Fascinating. All right. Everybody have a great day, and I'll see you on Telegram. Go to jenniferfallaw.com. Philosophy on Telegram. Love you all. Bye. Wait a minute. Let me put up the thing. Where's the thing? All right. Now we say bye. Bye.